this was an amazing experience and very descriptive, so this video may be really long, but if anything, this video is for myself to look back on. Hey guys, and welcome back. This is 2 months late, but I'm going to talk about my experience at the Carolina Cup. Basically, this video is about me training before the Carolina Cup, during the Carolina Cup, and the aftermath, which is a lot. So the reason we went was because our SCP trainers kind of recommended it to us, and we wanted to have more experiences in international races, and since the PPG was canceled, we didn't have any other race to go to, so we decided to go to the Carolina Cup. In the Carolina Cup, there were, I think, 3 races. One was 5 kilometers, so 3 miles. And another one was 21 kilometers, so 13 miles. And because of this video, I guess you can all assume which one I did. When my trainers recommended the race, they were like, you have to do the 13-mile race or you're not going. And I was like, well, I guess I'm paddling 13 miles. But here's the thing. So when they told me this, I was only starting to get used to paddling 6 miles, let alone 13. So I was in for a treat. And I also had to train a lot. Every Saturday for like 3 or 4 months, I would wake up at 7 a.m. and do an hour of paddling with my friends and my trainer. And at first I thought all of my friends were going, like all of them, because usually we always would do international races together. But then I figured out that it was just my family and my trainers, and that made me really, really nervous. Like, what if I was the only one going and I disappointed my trainers? Like, that would really hurt for me. But my trainer said no matter what place you end up in, no matter if you complete it or not, they'll still be proud of you because you actually did it, or you at least tried to do the 13-mile. Around 2 weeks before we went to the Carolina Cup, my brother and I decided to paddle 8 miles, and it took us like 2 hours, but even that was so like energy draining for me. Like, it drained all of my energy and I was so tired, and I only paddled 8 miles. Like, my arms were sore, my head hurt, I couldn't feel my arms, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna be able to paddle 13 miles in 3 weeks. So pretty much the day before we left, I was a little sick, and I had hurt my ankle before. Who has made dumb life decisions? So I decided to paddle for like an hour so I could keep my exercise up, and I like ran into my trainer in the process. It was kind of weird. So our plan was to arrive at Atlanta from where we live, go to South Carolina for a week to visit my grandparents, go to Wilmington, North Carolina for the Carolina Cup, go back to South Carolina for a night at my grandparents' house, wake up really early the next morning, drive to Atlanta, and then get on an airplane immediately. And this whole time we were traveling with 12-foot long boards. Well, I guess you could say 12 feet 6 inches, but still, they are so annoying to carry around, just like traveling with them. No. So we got to Atlanta all safe and sound with our boards, nothing happened to them, and we got a rental car. But then when we were driving to our grandparents' house, which is in like the night and it takes 4 hours, we ran into a speed bump. So we're having problems with the boards. They're not staying on. And we just like spent 10 minutes at a gas station and to fix it, and then in less than 5 they already shifted. So yeah, everyone has different ideas on what to do, and we're all figuring out, we're trying all of them. But we eventually made it, and without any flying boards. Now, my grandparents like to buy a lot of sweets. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like they're eating it, But they just kept on making and making and making sweets, and I have no self-control. So I kept on eating and eating and eating and eating everything they were making. And it was a week before my competition when I was going to paddle 13 miles. I had to be in the best shape I had ever been in my life, and I spent the first week eating sugar. Now that really made me really, really nervous. Oh, and bonus thing, I forgot my bathing suit. Yes, I forgot the bathing suit. The one thing I needed to compete, I forgot. So yeah, of course we could have gone to Target and could have gotten a really cheap one. It would have been really easy and simple, but nope! My mom had to go out and get a really good quality one, and I'll leave it at that. So the week we were with our grandparents, we just had a lot of fun. I went to church, I did some bowling, went hiking, I even trained a little bit. But I really, really missed my friends because I just was away from them. So then we had to drive to North Carolina for the Carolina Cup. And we got there really safe, and we were in a hotel room, and it was really, 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 really nice and picture worthy, and I may have used it. And at this point, it was now time to tell myself that I was actually doing this. We spent a few days practicing, and it was kind of our first time paddling in inland, which is I don't even know how to explain it. We just got to the hotel, and it's right over there. And right now we are on the beach that goes onto the Flatwater lake, or the inland. Inlet. In the inlet. And we are getting our boards ready to paddle for the first time, just for a few minutes, and try out the water.
Getting excited?
Yeah.
Getting ready?
Yeah.
Feel strong?
For reference, I'm going to put the race right here on top of my face so you guys understand what I'm talking about and understand what's happening. So the day before the race, my mom and I went to the two jetties that I was going to go through, because usually if the waves are kind of rough, it's really, really hard to go through them. I was pretty confident I was going to be able to go through them. We also went to get our race number, our chip, and our goodie bag, and I got this from that. So this is proof that I did it, as if the videos weren't enough. I was also told that my brother was not going to join me in the 13 mile, and because of his shoulder and because he's been sick a lot in the year, he decided to go down to the 6 mile. That was terrifying for me, because that meant that I was the only person doing the 13 mile. And all the pressure was now on me. And that also meant that I was the youngest person doing it. And the only person paddling a 12.6 when everyone else were riding 14-footers. It was also really, really windy. The dry sand was literally making these cool, shapes on the wet sand, and it was really cool. And all the stands that were part of the Carolina Cup were literally flying everywhere. Well, not that, I'm exaggerating, but they were almost flying apart, and they had to shut down the whole area. That made me super, super nervous, because the wind was so strong that it at night, it was literally shaking the outside lamp where the parking lot was, and it was moving like the cars, and I just kind of like started freaking out then. I believe I was told it was going 50 miles an hour, but I could be just saying a random number. And for dinner, we went to my trainer's little rental spot, and we had this delicious salmon pasta, because you should have pasta before you race. The morning of the race for breakfast, I had oatmeal, and I was so terrified and nervous that whenever I would grab a spoonful of oatmeal, I'd gag. I didn't want to eat, and I'd throw up in my mouth, and I just couldn't eat. And that was really, really bad, because I was going to be on the water for who knows how long, and I can't just do that on an empty stomach. I did manage to eat a little bit, but that was still really, really terrifying. I filled my Camelback with water and protein powder that my trainer used. It is absolutely the best. I love it so much. I also put 2 of those gels in my bag. These, if you don't know what I'm talking about. So where my brother started and where I started, it was different. He started in the inland and I started on the beach. So I put my board down on the beach and then walked over to the inland to see my brother go off. And when he went off and I went back to my board, I started to prepare myself mentally. My trainer was also doing the 13 mile, so we kind of did a little warm up around a buoy. And as we were out there, Jade Housen, I love you so much, she waved at us, and it made me all warm and fuzzy inside. And then when we were at the beach, she gave me a big hug, and I was just so happy. So it was the men first and then the women's. And let me just say something. My start was not fair. Like, look at these women. They're like already on the water before I go. When the horn rang, I ran as fast as I could, and I went on the water and I sprinted as fast as I can. No, I did not do that. I kind of jogged to the water, and I didn't want to hurt my fin, so I kind of just put my board down, and then I got up, and then I just paddled. The direction that we started paddling was supposedly downwind, but no, that was not downwind, and no one else can tell me that it was downwind, because it wasn't. When I got to the first jetty, the water was so crazy, and it was so hard to stay on my board. Also, in the water, you could see like a straight line from where it's ocean water and then like lake water. I don't know. I have no idea. Around there, there were some people that started yelling my name, like, "Go Alex, you can do this, go!" I had no idea who they were. I had to pass where Trey started, so that's where my parents were. And I kind of went on their side so that I could like see them and I could hear them cheer for me. But they thought that I was coming in. But nope, I did not come in. I just kept on going. The reason why I just was over there was because I wanted to see you guys and I wanted to feel happy. But right after I saw them, I just crossed. After a while, I ended up drafting with this really nice lady, and we kind of talked. I was using a 12.6 and she was using a 14-footer, but you kind of do what you gotta do. I ended up falling behind, and she went ahead, and she actually came in 3rd in her age division, which, good for her. I ended up just paddling alone for the rest of the race, and when I started going to the second jetty, right before I was going to hit the ocean again, I ate a gel, and I prepared myself, because this was the last line. It was just straight towards the finish line, even though it was really, really far away. There were actually waves, and that was the only time I fell off. Probably because I was just drained and I just couldn't stay on my board. Now, the people that kind of made the race designed it so that you would go downwind in the ocean and then upwind in the inland. But by the time that I was entering the ocean, the wind changed. Therefore, I was going upwind. Therefore, going upwind the whole race. And guess what I was doing the whole time? Crying. Yes, I was crying. I did not want to do it. I was so drained. I just wanted to give up. But at that point, there wasn't really anywhere to get off. And I had already gone so far. I didn't want to disappoint my family. Even though they told me that they wouldn't be disappointed, I still wanted to do it for my own good and to be able to say that I have done it and just, When I was actually going through the Yeti, I didn't really know where to go, and there was this guy behind me like giving me pointers, and he kind of fell when I fell, but I managed to get ahead of him. When I was reaching the beach, the guy that gave me pointers was like had caught up to me, and at that point I wasn't crying from pain and suffering. I was crying from happiness because it was going to be over. I was paddling in, and the guy that gave me pointers was also paddling in, and I look, and he's just off his board, sideways. Like, what? When I jumped off my board, I ran as fast as I could, using the rest of my energy, and, yeah. When I passed the finish line, I felt so happy and relieved. I didn't have to paddle anymore. They gave me a medal. Proof. This is what it looks like. And it just says graveyard finisher on the back. They also offered me water in a plastic bottle, but I was like, you know what? I'm tired, I want to die, but I also want to save the environment, so no. My family and my trainers ran up to me with the biggest smile and gave me the hugest hugs, the biggest hugs ever. Oh my god, I just hate myself for doing that. I was really, really happy, and I felt so proud of myself for doing it. Sony, which was the first woman to finish the 13-mile, was actually a friend of my trainers, and they came up to me and she gave me a hug and we took a photo. So that was really nice. And the woman that I drafted with came up to me and told me congratulations. And now that I'm thinking about it, she came in second in her age division. She didn't come in third. After I got some food from the buffet that the hotel was providing for the racers, I got my first fans. Yes, I have fans now. There are just these 3 people that heard of me and want to take a photo with me so that when I'm famous and older, they can be like, I knew her! This whole time, my arms were so sore. They hurt so much. When I got back to my hotel room, if you would ask my parents, they would say I was delirious. But actually, I was just really happy. I took a big long nap. I deserved it. Then it was award time. The results were on these sheets of paper that were like posted on a little wooden thing in the middle of everything. That was a lot of things. So I went to check where my name was to look at my time and what number I came in. And wait, no, really? I came in 3rd place in my age division. Holy cow. I did not expect to rank or place. I just wanted to survive, and then here I am getting 3rd place in 17 and under. Like, my final time was 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 40.5 seconds. And that was a lot considering that I usually only paddled for 2 hours, or actually even 1. And the only time I paddled 2 hours was like a week before I went to the Carolina Cup. My overall number was 105 out of 118 people, so I was the 105th person to get back to the beach. It was pretty far back, but as you can tell, I did not care. We did the podium and we got a lot of cool photos, and I went back to my hotel room and I crashed. The next day we packed up all of our stuff. We drove back to South Carolina for a night at our grandparents', and then at 3 in the morning we got up and we drove to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta we flew all the way back home. I want to talk about what happened after the Carolina Cup. After the Carolina Cup, I felt like I had a completely different stroke. It felt like I had advanced so much in those 3 hours than I did in my whole 2-year paddling career. It was probably because I was just paddling non-stop, but still, that's pretty creepy or weird. Also, when we'd be doing time trials and training, I would just like go really fast, and even though I felt the pain, it was nothing compared to the Carolina Cup, so I just kept on going. And I also realized that I can no longer complain about doing long distance in training. And whenever we're talking about stuff and we're doing like a little technical course, they're like, oh yeah, this is nothing compared to the Carolina Cup, right, Alex? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Anyways, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you went through all of this and it was interesting for you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.
Please don't